Hi everyone. If you've followed me for a while, then you will know that I talk a lot about trading psychology and the importance of it. So what I thought I'd do is I'd actually cover off a video on exactly what I do to try and maintain the correct psychology when I am trading. So actual steps that I follow that have maybe over the last few years at least improved my ability to control my emotions when I'm actually in trades. Because it's all very well when you hear online saying people or you hear online people saying that you have to control your emotions, but what do you actually do to be able to manage these emotions as they actually come to the surface? And then over time, how do you develop strategies that will then help you get more consistent with your trading? So I'm going to go through some of the things that I've actually done over the last couple of years to try and make that process a lot better. So the first thing I've actually done is back testing. Now, I've obviously spoke a lot about back testing. There's separate videos I've done on that, so you can look somewhere around this channel for back testing videos. But the reason I do the back testing in the first place is to make sure that I'm confident with that strategy. Once I've gone, I don't know, let's look at one of my swing strategies. Once I've gone back over, say, a 5-year history, and I'm confident that if I actually follow that strategy through all the way to completion, that it actually does make profit over time, then that then gives me this psychological tick in the checkbox to say that I'm confident that this strategy will work. And the only thing really then getting in the way is me. And let's face it, often the times when you're looking for what the problem is, you've just got to look in the mirror. I certainly do still suffer from that sometimes. So what I've actually done is once I've back tested this, I then go into the process of actually journaling trades as I take them. And I've put together, well, not put together, I've obviously seen this somewhere, but this is the thing that I've actually implemented myself. So I get a grade system from grade A all the way down to grade D. And when I look back over my trades over a monthly period, even when I started to first implement this, I used to do it after every single trade. And it really did actually help me manage the process and make sure that I was only actually taking optimal setups in the end. So I'm going to go through the grades now so you can actually see if you could align this into your own trading plan and make this work for you. So grade A, this would be the type of trade that is perfectly on strategy. So every box was ticked and it worked. It actually won as well. That is one of the other caveats. So it was perfectly on strategy and it did win. You also want to make sure that the risk management was on check as well and on lock to make sure that you're only risking what you said you were going to risk. And also there was amount of preparation behind it. So this wasn't something that you just jumped into. You thought about this trade when it actually came into a certain price area that you were looking at, you executed perfectly, and then it went on to win. So there's 4 main key components there to make this one a grade A trade. Then you've got grade B underneath that. Now grade B, the only difference between a grade A and a grade B is the fact that it didn't win. So you did follow your strategy, risk management was on point, and you didn't just jump in, you did prepare, but unfortunately you might have lost. And let's face it, with trading, depending on what your strategy is, you're going to have a solid win rate that you're confident in anyway. And this could be low as 25% sometimes. So losses are going to be part of the game, but that would then align it to be a grade B trade in the grading system that I use. Then you've got grade C after that. Now, grade C, these are trades that you haven't prepared for. Okay, you maybe have just jumped into the charts, you've seen an opportunity. Risk management may have been off as well. Okay, you just over risked possibly. Very unlikely you ever under risked. You probably over risked, and you actually got lucky this time and it won. Okay, so that would then constitute it being a grade C. And then grade D underneath that is well, it's Armageddon time, isn't it? So you've just jumped into the market, jumped into these trades. You haven't won, you haven't prepared, there was no strategy, probably over risked, and you've lost some money. Now, what I'd do is I'd actually go back through, do this 2 ways. So I'd go back through my trades on a monthly basis anyway, and I'd replay the market either on TradingView like I use, or you could use FX Replay as well. I've used that in the past. And just see if the trades that you did take were ones that you would take when all of the emotion and the market movement is actually been removed from you. And then grade them. What I also used to do in the early days is actually every time I won or I lost a trade, I would then go to my journal. I'd journal it just on a simple Excel spreadsheet. I use the same processes now. And then I'd also list whether it was grade A, B, C, or D. Now, the reason for that, it provides a little bit of accountability within yourself, because when you then have to grade yourself, you do sometimes then second guess whether I should be getting into this trade. And if you do that consistently over time, what you'll tend to find happen is that the proportion of grade A and grade B trades massively goes up, and then the C's and the D's start to actually get weeded out. So journaling is a massive part of this. Another part of this as well, before I actually do the journaling, is kind of the second or third point I want to move into, which is actually walking away. Now, win or lose, I will always now walk away from the charts. I mean, I actually walk away from the charts the moment I've placed a trade as well. And I like to place trades and then set alerts in the market, because then that also removes emotion quite quickly. But certainly after I've either won or I've lost a trade, I will then walk away from the charts. Some say 5-10 minutes. This is the advice. I actually give it a bit longer than that. I walk away for, an hour. Okay. But the main reason for that is I don't really these days trade the 5 minute as aggressively, or even really the 15 minutes. So I can walk away for a bit longer. But what you tend to find is that diffuses any emotions that may have crept to the surface. And these happen whether it's a win or a lose. So if you win, you will get that sense of euphoria, especially when you're a new trader. That can actually be more dangerous than sometimes losing a trade, because when you get that sense of euphoria, along with that also comes a sense of overconfidence. And I've seen it time and time again. I'm sure you might have experienced this yourself as well. I've certainly experienced it myself. But when I've then got that overconfidence, I then will jump, or am more tempted to jump into more suboptimal trades, which then mean that all of the wins that I've had will then get eroded by losses. So I've had weeks where I've actually started out with a really good winning streak on a Monday and a Tuesday, and by Friday I've either given it back or I'm even down. Okay, so winning and overconfidence do link together too. And then obviously when you lose, the risk here is that when you lose, and especially if you've just been stopped out just by a couple of pips or something like that, your tendency or the temptation then to actually overtrade really does kick in. And that is something that you really do need to watch out for, because it's actually fine, absolutely fine to lose trades. It's fine to lose 1%, 2%, whatever you're risking on your account. But what you don't want to do is then compound these losses by going, well, I only got stopped out by a bit, so I'll jump back in the market now. And then before you know it, you've then got stopped out again. And I know that from personal experience, it's very painful. And then I've had accounts, funded accounts and personal accounts that have been solidly in profit. And then it only takes 1 or 2 losses for me to then go on to, what we call in the game full tilt. And when you go on full tilt, that's when all your rules go out of the window. You start jumping into the markets, you're over risking, and it's a very bad situation. That's like account blowing scenarios. And I've blown multiple accounts as well, just for the record. So tried to walk away, because that then stems the flow of the emotion. You've also got to remember that emotions are just part of a physiological response. Your brain has actually been designed to protect you from pain. So when you actually do get that losing trade, it's going to hurt. That's a physiological response. But just like with any emotion, the best way of dealing with it is to let it rise up, acknowledge its presence, and then just know that because it's actually only a physiological and maybe even just a chemical response, that eventually this chemical will dissipate. It's like when you get that rush of adrenaline that gets you ready for the fight and flight. The adrenaline has to subside at some point. So that should then give you more of a psychological clarity and confidence that once this chemical response is finished, the emotion will go and then you'll feel fine. Okay, so you need to be able to step away from trades, whether they are winners or whether they are actually losers. Now, another way that I've actually been able to tie all of this together and even get some of these tips in the first place was either by aligning myself with an accountability partner, like a friend who's going through that trading journey with me. And it's quite good to have somebody who's either at the same level or slightly better than you. Okay, you never want to be the worst. Sorry, I always want to be the worst in the room if I can. So I've only got one way to go. And or a community. So if you've got a WhatsApp group with other traders, if you've got trading communities that are taking similar strategy trades to you as well. Now, the reason for that, and we do this in the community, and this is also the reason why I actually post my trades publicly every morning, or post the trade ideas I'm looking at, is because since I started doing that, that actually did improve my accountability, because I'm putting my name to trades and setups before they've even come to fruition. And you get the odd online guru here will only post their wins, they never post their losses. But especially in the academy settings that I run, I'm posting the setups before they've even come true. Okay, some of them don't even get tagged in, so it's it's very transparent. Okay, and that holds me accountable, because if I then go on to post a winner, they'll clearly be able to see what I was planning on doing and what I did do. And just on the flip side of that, they'll also be able to see if there was losses there that because I didn't stick to my plan. And when I'm there trying to put myself on a bit of a pedestal as to say, follow me and do what I do, it holds me accountable. It also, though, allows the guys in the community to say, right, let's remove some of the learning techniques here and just see exactly what it is that Paul's doing, what other experienced traders in the community are doing. And it allows for that community aspect, because the other thing with trade, especially if you're just getting into this, is that some of your friends and family, they won't be on board. They'll be talking about, what's this whole trading thing you're getting into? Trading's a scam. It's just gambling. It's posh gambling. You know, I've heard all the usual sort of things. So if you do want to stick with this, you are going to have to stick with this through losing periods. You're going to have to stick with it through the long run as well. And having that community support element around you is really, really important. Well, it certainly has been for me. So I've got a very good friend who started trading probably about 6 months before me. We still talk now, okay, about what trades he's taken, what he was planning to take, and then what he did take. And it's that accountability between the two, because I can quite often say to him, and he says to me, you know, it's limited or getting less this time these days, but you go, well, you were meant to be taken along on the gold market, so how come you took a little short trade there to try and capitalize on a pullback? And when you know you're having to justify this to your friends and to the public or to a community or a mentor, okay, that then sometimes is just enough to just trigger the stop on that behavior and make sure that you don't actually go into it, because you know you've got to justify your actions after. Now, that's just a few of the tips and tricks that I've actually put in to help smooth out my trading behavior. By no means is that list exhausted. In fact, when I actually did start really implementing this and going down the full-time route, I did also have to employ the services of a trading psychologist. Spoken about that in other videos as well. And they do realign your mental state so that you can accept losses a lot easier. Now, some people don't suffer with that, but I'd say at least 80% of people do suffer with not enjoying the loss periods or the drawdown periods. And like I said before, that's because your brain will naturally want to protect you from feeling pain, and we're always going to feel pain around loss. But you do need to reframe that if you want to be a trader who's consistent and consistently profitable over time. So anyway, guys, I hope you've enjoyed that video. If you do want to find out more about psychology or teaching or any of the academy bits and pieces that we actually run, then somewhere around this video there will be a link as well to click to either book a call with me or jump on our next webinar. I'll see you on the next video, guys.